Alert day conditions for high heat index values this afternoon, and then a transition to the likelihood of severe weather, the very latest using Future Track in just a few minutes.
President Trump gives the Russian president a new deadline to reach a peace deal and the new details of a major trade deal between the U.S. and EU. This is News 3 Now at noon. Thanks for joining us. I'm Josh Breiter. More dangerous heat in southern Wisconsin today. We're also tracking the chance for more severe weather tonight. First Warn weather team has been all over it. Here's Chief Meteorologist Alex Harrington with the very latest this afternoon.
Yeah,
hi, Alex.
Hey, hi there, Josh. In southern Wisconsin, you're feeling it already. I'm sweating here in the studio with heat index values expected to be up to 105 this afternoon. That's dangerous levels of heat. So if you do need to be outside today, take some breaks and know where your cool spot is and hydrate. And then we transition from alert day conditions for heat to alert day conditions for severe weather, where you see all of these colors. You're taking note of a likelihood of a wind event, a damaging wind event moving across parts of southern Wisconsin, if not all of southern Wisconsin, as we go into the overnight hours. Madison, you are level 1 out of 5 risk. That means an isolated chance for the damaging winds as we go into the early morning hours of Tuesday. West of Madison, you are level 2 to level 3 out of 5, meaning you're going to be looking at the likelihood of damaging wind gusts as we go after the midnight hour. That's what we're tracking here for tonight. Heavy rainfall, the possibility of damaging winds with that cluster of thunderstorms moving into the area. Right now, let's plan the rest of your afternoon. Hot and humid, highs up to 93, heat index values as high as 105. When you join me in just a little bit, I'm going to use Future Track to take us through that line of storms and let you know when you can expect it in your neighborhood.
All right, Alex, we'll see you in a few minutes. Thank you. You can track the forecast for yourself on the First Warn weather app. It has hourly planners and radar. Download it for free in your phone's app store by searching WISC weather. The man accused of poisoning women he previously dated will be in court in Rock County tomorrow. Paul Van Dyne faces several felony charges, including 3 counts of attempted first-degree intentional homicide. His bond is set at $37.5 million. He also faces charges in Dane County, including conspiracy to commit first-degree intentional homicide, with bonds set at $10 million. Those charges come after a hazmat response in mid-June at 3 separate locations in Madison. Prosecutors say Van Dyne and co-defendant Andrea Whitaker stalked and tried to kill women in Dane and Rock counties. Court records accuse them of breaking into women's cars and leaving chemicals like cyanide. A woman in Rock County was hospitalized as a result. Van Dyne is scheduled to appear in court tomorrow afternoon at 3. A man charged in connection with an arson case will appear in court on Wednesday. Vince Hildestad is accused of setting a fire on Madison's east side that left 5 people without a home. The fire was on Blossom Lane near the Quick Trip at Buckeye and Stoughton Roads. A criminal complaint says he discovered he had Parkinson's disease and told investigators he wanted to give his cat a proper cremation. Police arrested him after he went missing for a week. He is set to appear in court at 10:30 in the morning on Wednesday. President Trump sat down with the British Prime Minister today at Trump's Turnberry Golf Club in Scotland. It comes as the Trump administration is touting a new trade deal with the European Union. Natalie Brand reports from the White House.
President Trump is hosting British Prime Minister Keir Starmer at his Turnberry Golf Club in Scotland, where the focus Monday shifted to the humanitarian crisis in Gaza.
We have to get to that ceasefire and we have to increase humanitarian aid.
We're going to set up food centers, and we're going to do it in conjunction with some very good people, and other nations are joining us. I know your nation's joining us.
On Ukraine, President Trump told reporters he will likely reduce the 50-day deadline he gave Russian President Vladimir Putin for a ceasefire deal, threatening tougher new sanctions.
I'm going to make a new deadline of about 10 or 12 days from today. There's no reason in waiting.
Today's meeting follows one Sunday between Trump and the president of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, where they announced a trade deal between the U.S. and EU.
All of the countries will be opened up to trade with the United States at zero tariff.
President Trump said the tariff rate for most imported goods from the 27 EU member countries would be 15%, including autos. He also said the EU agreed to purchase U.S. military equipment, $750 billion of U.S. energy, and invest $600 billion in other sectors.
It will bring stability. It will bring predictability.
The breakthrough came with the White House's Friday tariff deadline quickly approaching and still no deals in place with other top trading partners, including Canada and Mexico. This week, the Trump administration is also meeting for a third round of talks with China.
Whether there's room for an extension, I can't say at this point, but the conversations are constructive and they're going in the right direction.
The 90-day tariff truce between China and the U.S. reached in May is set to expire in about 2 weeks. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
President Trump was also asked about the continued saga involving the release of Jeffrey Epstein files and suggested his enemies could have put material in the files that were fake. Well, if you pay student loans, the amount you pay might start going up on Friday. Some loan types will begin to accrue interest again after a year-long pause. Rising student loan costs combined with tuition increases nationally and here at home have students tightening their budgets. The University of Wisconsin Board of Regents is set to approve a tuition increase across its campuses next year. At the same time, the executive director of the Wisconsin Coalition on Student Debt says education costs continue to rise for most colleges.
There actually have been some encouraging signs, though, that the tuition part is stabilizing across institutions. I think they are realizing, those pressure points. The challenge, though, is also for students that they have to pay for living costs, and that is definitely contributing to a growing cost overall for people who want to attend college.
If you are struggling with student debt, you can visit debtsmarts.org for advice and resources. College football season is right around the corner, and Wisconsin is looking to get back on track after last year. The Badgers hold their media day today before heading to Platteville to kick off fall camp. Our Andrew Banstra will be with the team throughout camp, bringing you up-close coverage ahead of Luke Fickell's third season leading the team. Still ahead for us on News 3 Now at noon. If you have a question or concern about your plants or garden, now's the time to send us your questions via email to tips@channel3000.com. Lisa Briggs from the Bruce Company will join us later in the broadcast with the answers. But first, who came out on top of the weekend box office, plus how much a signed WNBA rookie card of Caitlin Clark sold for at auction.
After President Trump announced a trade deal with the EU over the weekend, China is up next at the negotiating table. U.S. and Chinese officials are holding talks in Stockholm, Sweden today, their third meeting this year. The Trump administration had proposed tariffs of up to 145% on Chinese goods, but the president says a deal is close at hand. A signed 2024 rookie WNBA card of Indiana Fever star Caitlin Clark has shattered a record, selling for $660,000. That beats the previous high for a women's card, also Clark's, sold in March for $366,000. She has been sidelined for several weeks after injuring her groin, and there's no timeline yet for her return. And the Fantastic Four: First Steps shot to the top of the box office this weekend, raking in $118 million in North America. That's the fourth biggest opening of the year, pushing Superman into the second spot after 2 weekends at number 1. Jurassic World Rebirth finished third with $13 million. That's your CBS News Money Watch report. For more, log on to cbsmoneywatch.com. At the CBS Broadcast Center, I'm Jesse Mitchell.
Here's a look at the stock report at the noon hour. The Dow is down 34 points, NASDAQ up 57, and the S&P 500 up 2. We have the farm numbers up next, and Alex is tracking the Alert Day forecast, and later on Live at 4, proactive steps to help bring financial independence and retirement a little closer to reality. Pam Yonke's out of the radio barn on her Canadian Rockies farm tour, so here are your farm numbers. Now to your Alert Day forecast, here's Chief Meteorologist Alex Harrington. Hi, Alex.
Hey there, Josh. Southern Wisconsin, we're tracking three things here. First, a hot afternoon today. Alert Day conditions expected for heat index values getting above 100, and then tracking the potential for a cluster of damaging winds tonight. The good news is the relief is in sight, as we head towards Wednesday. We do have those heat advisories in fact, till 8 o'clock for all of southern Wisconsin for the heat index values approaching 100 to 105 degrees, and that's through the afternoon going into the evening hours until 8 p.m. And then we transition our attention from the heat to the potential for severe weather. We have a level 1 out of 5 risk for Madison areas to the east of severe weather. We have a level 2 out of 5 risk west of Madison. So what does that mean? That means isolated to scattered severe thunderstorms are expected into the overnight hours, with damaging winds being the main threat, also heavy rainfall with these thunderstorms. But some of our weather models are projecting that this line of thunderstorms will eventually weaken as it approaches southern Wisconsin, which would be good news as we get further and further here into the growing season with our crops. We certainly don't want any damaging winds to knock down any of our crops in southern Wisconsin. So as we look at future track, looking at midnight, looks quiet at that point, but off towards the north and towards the west, Wash, La Crosse, over towards Decorah, over towards the Prairie du Chien area as we head towards 3 o'clock in the morning. Kind of similar this morning when we broke in remotely for severe thunderstorms in southwest Wisconsin. That line of thunderstorms with damaging winds approaching Viroqua, Boscobel, Prairie du Chien, Platteville as we head towards 3 o'clock. But take note, it fizzles that area of thunderstorms, and that would certainly be good news. But nonetheless, we need to be on guard this evening from Madison, especially for Madison areas off towards the west, for this cluster of storms with the potential for damaging winds overnight. As we head towards 6 o'clock, those thunderstorms continue to fizzle out across the area, and then we have another very warm and humid day with high temperatures getting into the upper 80s to near 90. Heat index values still in the 90s on Tuesday. Can't rule out an isolated shower or thunderstorm during the day on Tuesday and during the nighttime. Perhaps a little better chance of showers and thunderstorms with one more cluster. Kind of deja vu, repeating this a third time as we get into Wednesday morning in southwest Wisconsin. Cluster of storms, Grant, Iowa, Lafayette counties potentially being impacted, and that would be it. Because following that cluster of thunderstorms, the cooler, more refreshing air will eventually build into southern Wisconsin. Along with the damaging wind potential, especially in southwest Wisconsin overnight, any rainfall amounts, the heavier stuff likely just west of the Mississippi River and down towards Platteville and over towards Darlington. We'll take the water. We just certainly don't need the damaging winds. Right now, 86 in Madison, 88 in Lone Rock, 90 in the Dells right now. So a little bit warmer to the north where they didn't get those thunderstorms earlier this morning. Temperatures here in Dane County, 86 in Sun Prairie, 85 in Deerfield, 86 to the west on Highway 14 in Cross Plains, and on 12 to the south towards Oregon. We're also at 85 degrees. This is our first warn weather. Skycam here, our Upland Hills Health sponsored cam here in Dodgeville. It's 86 right now, and temperatures will be going into the lower 90s with those heat index values again approaching 100 to 105. You're going to want to tune in tonight at 4, 5, 6, and at 10 for the very latest on the track of those thunderstorms coming in out of Minnesota and Iowa, as they could certainly pose damaging winds to southern Wisconsin. Blaze will be here later this evening. I'll be here through 5 o'clock. Once we get past the shower and storm chances through early Wednesday, look at that. Sigh of relief. We can enjoy cooler temperatures by day and by night and give that AC a break. Josh?
Wow, look at all those 70s and 10% chance. It's been a long time.
I know. It would be much appreciated, I think, for many.
Yes, for sure. Alex, thank you. Today, Howard's working on a refreshing summer drink in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Like many of you, I had a lemonade stand when I was a kid. And for a nickel, you could get a big cup of ice cold lemonade. Maybe this is where I got my love for this cool and refreshing drink. Over the years, I've tried many versions of this favorite. Everything from it being infused with watermelon juice to our latest creation, blueberry lemonade. If that sounds good to you, wait until you try this. You want to start by grabbing a saucepan and combining some water, sugar, lemon zest, and a good amount of blueberries. After we bring this to a boil, we let it simmer until the blueberries burst open and they flavor the water. We strain this so all the zest and blueberry pulp is removed, and we let it cool. Now we add some fresh lemon juice, which will take about 4 to 5 lemons, and a bunch of ice. When you're ready to serve this, Add some sparkling water to make it extra special. Top each with some fresh mint, more lemon and blueberries, and get ready for one of the most refreshing sippers you've ever had. Is it trendy? Yes. Is it easy? Yes. Is it a keeper? That would be a double yes. To get the recipe for our blueberry lemonade, all you have to do is visit our website. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a very refreshing way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
Coming up next at noon, Lisa Briggs from the Bruce Company is here answering your plant and gardening questions. Email them now to tips@channel3000.com and we'll get the answers next. Welcome back. Lisa Briggs from the Bruce Company is here answering your plant and garden questions. Email them now to tips@channel3000.com. Hi, Lisa.
Hello.
You ready for the heat to be done?
I am so ready for the heat to be done.
I think our plants are too. It's a lot of stress.
It is a lot of stress. And so a lot of people will look outside, especially their potted plants, and they're wilting, and you're going to assume that they need water, but that's not always the case. So what you're going to want to do is, like with this dahlia here that's sitting on the table, you want to stick your finger in that soil and see if it's wet. When it gets so hot, plants sort of suspend their growth a little bit. And so if they're not actively growing, then they are not using the water that's in the pots. So check the soil first. If the soil is damp and your pots are wilted, your plants are wilted, move them into a spot where it's going to be a little bit shady. Get them out of the heat. That will help until it sort of abates, which I'm hoping. I'm holding Alex to the fact that it's going to be in the 70s on Wednesday.
Much better for all of us, plants and humans.
All of us.
Let's get to the questions here at noon. We're going to start with Florence. Florence says that she plants her amaryllis outside in the garden. They are showing a lot of spots, like rust spots. Will that affect the bulbs, or should she be doing something to treat them?
If it is indeed rust, and that's easy to tell, you kind of put the leaf over a piece of white paper and you sort of smack it a little bit, and then you'll see some spores on the paper that will be orange. It does sound like you've got some kind of fungal disease, and you could certainly treat with a fungicide just to arrest it, so that the leaves will continue to provide energy for the bulb itself. Then I would say about the end of August, you can pull those out and begin the dormancy process.
All right, question number 2 comes from Michelle. Michelle's wondering if you could share some advice on how to effectively prune boxwood shrubs.
Okay.
She said they are about 6 years old and they haven't pruned them yet.
We love boxwood. They are a shape and a texture that is not provided by anything else in the garden. They've been going through a blight, so they're a little bit more difficult to find the last few years. Boxwood are best pruned when you prune arborvitae and junipers, so that new tender growth comes out. It's really bright green, and then it tends to darken and harden off. And just as it starts that darkening process, that's when you want to do any kind of shearing and shaping of your boxwood. So usually that's around the end of June to early July. There's probably still time to do that now. You don't want to wait too much longer, though, because you're going to open wounds that may or may not be able to set new buds or heal off before the winter sets in.
All right.
So go ahead and do it now.
Yeah, for sure. Question number 3 comes from Laura. She sent us some photos. I'm going to show you right now, Lisa.
I'll get my glasses.
She is wondering what is wrong with her orchids. She's wondering where the flowers should be on those. There's a couple of them there, if you can take a look.
Okay, so those are arterial roots, Laura. And they don't usually come up on the stems like that. They're usually down at the base. So when those flower stems are done, you're just going to cut back those flower stems. But that sort of gray color, that silvery color, those are roots, not flower stems.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
So when the flowers are done, just cut that stem back to the base where the leaves are, and then continue to take care of it as usual.
I think we have time for one more question. So this one comes from Jane from Cottage Grove. She says she has a dogwood bush that has gotten out of hand. Can she cut it down to the ground or prune 30% of it off? And when is the best time to do it? Late summer, fall, early spring?
So dogwood, you can generally prune them at any time. You might want to try what we call renewal pruning, where you, instead of just shearing it back, you take out some of the oldest stems, about 25-30% of the oldest stems. Those are going to be the biggest, of course, especially if it's a dogwood that has red stems, because that will encourage new stems to come up from the roots, and those will have the best color. And you really want to accentuate that color for winter.
All right, good questions today.
Yeah.
Relief is on the way. Thank goodness.
Fingers crossed.
Let's get to Alex now for a final check of your first warn forecast. Hi, Alex.
Hey, Josh, Lisa, southern Wisconsin, alert day conditions for hot temperatures this afternoon, heat index values to 100. Then we transition our attention to severe weather overnight tonight. The likelihood of a wind event, especially for areas west of Madison, that's our greatest potential, is for strong damaging winds and heavy rainfall tonight. Live at 4, I'll have the latest using Future Track. Josh.
All right, Alex, thank you. Thanks for watching at noon. Coming up next is The Bold and the Beautiful. We'll see you at 4.